Good evening. Welcome to Poultry Keepers 360 Live. We've got a good show tonight. We're going to be talking about, do you need light on your chickens in the winter or do you not need light on your chickens in the winter? All about supplemental lighting. Jeff, I'm going to bounce it to you because I know you deal with folks that want supplemental lighting and folks that really don't care about supplemental lighting. What are your thoughts?
Um, to me, it really depends on when you want your eggs for whatever purpose, hatching, eating, otherwise, right? And the age of your flock. So they're going to naturally stimulate in the spring of the year, you know, starting in March, rolling through April. As the days get longer, they will
Right.
naturally stimulate. So if you have your birds at the right age and body condition, when the days get longer, about March 15th, then you can let them naturally stimulate and they're on a perfect cycle. If you're out of cycle and stimulating them to come into sexual maturity, the light stimulates their pituitary gland and starts them to want to start laying eggs. If you're out of the natural cycle and you need eggs, then you're going to have to stimulate them with artificial lighting. And it doesn't take much.
Does adding artificial light shorten their lifespan?
It doesn't. Most of the time when I see, smaller flocks where birds don't live past the fourth lay cycle, fifth lay cycle, something like that, 90% of the time the bird is overweight. Okay. They got too much internal fat, right? Somebody killed them with kindness, a little bit too much corn, and free choice feed, things like that, right?
Right.
So obesity actually is probably the number one killer of birds living to their full lifespan. I've
Huh.
got plenty of people doing breeding with 7+ year old hens and they're
Wow.
doing fine, right? If we do the molt correctly, we strip off the body weight, the body fat, we bring them back in correctly, we limit the amount of feed. Yeah, you know, we can keep them rocking and rolling for a long time. Some
Okay.
over 10 now. We've got some hens at 10, 11, and 12. They
Wow.
don't give you many eggs. Now,
Yeah.
granted, you might get one clutch of eggs out of them, right? But when you have that special hen,
Yeah. Yep.
then,
Yeah.
that one clutch is great, right?
Yeah.
You're happy for it.
Yep.
I
Yep.
had hens that I was grateful for whatever
Yeah.
number of eggs I got from them that year,
Yeah.
Yeah.
whether it was one or 100.
Yep.
But to me, it was worth it.
Mm-hmm. That's
Let's talk.
interesting.
Let's talk about what light actually does for our birds, um, or why. Basically, why does it work? Jeff, what's your thoughts on it?
So light is a natural occurrence, right? In nature, you know, hens should start laying. What happens is light stimulates, I believe it's the thymus gland in their brain, and stimulates them to start ovulating and laying eggs. So it's a completely natural cycle in nature to do this. Um, so it's just, it's part of their system. And, we can either do it, let nature run its course, which is how Sue does it right now. And that's fine. Okay. You have to choose, what your goals and ambitions are for your flock. When do you want to hatch? When do you want to mate? When do you want chicks? Things like that. Right. Um, or you're going to get mating in the spring, hatching in the spring, and you're going to get what you get. Right. And a lot of people are comfortable with that. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm saying it's up to you to figure out what you need for your system.
Jeff, does it make any difference as to the color of the light that you use?
It does, and Carrie did quite a bit of deep dive into this. So when they're growing from chick up to maturity, you want more of the blue-green end of the spectrum, light spectrum, and then for egg production, you switch over to more of the yellow-orange end of the spectrum to stimulate egg production.
That's
I,
interesting.
Yeah.
reason I asked, I had somebody ask me just the other day, well, can I use red lights? And I said, I don't think that works too well for that.
Not the heat lamps, right?
Not for cheap.
No.
Very good.
But even for the laying hens, like the typical heat lamp is not the right spectrum. There's not enough orange in there. So
Yeah, it's too much red. It needs to be more orange.
needs to be a little bit more to the orange. Yep.
Almost like it is outside right now.
Carrie, I also had a conversation, about a month or so ago. I can't remember exactly, but somebody was basically equating the extra light to the health of the chicken. You got any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, a lot of people say, oh, well, if you light your birds like that, it's not healthy for them. They'll die sooner, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But from my experience, I have a hen, two of them. One is 10 years old and one is 12.
Wow.
And they have given me, they have hen hatched as recently as this past summer. And they are on the same light cycle as all of my birds are that are in my breeding yard. And what I usually do is once I see the molt first happen, cut the lights off. And I I do what I need to do to hurry the molt up, get them back feathering as quick as possible, get them to weight if they do get obese, to make that quick and painless. Because, I mean, it's miserable hot. They're losing feathers. And, so I try to make that as quick and painless as possible. And then I'll wait until September-ish, let them get fully feathered again. And then I just, check and see what time the sun comes up. And I'll set my timers for that. And then the following week, I'll set it back 30 minutes. And then back 30 minutes. And I'll do that every week until they come on at 3 o'clock in the morning.
That's real important to time that out, just 30 minutes every week. And
Yeah,
not
it
every day.
provides, studies show that it provides the least amount of stress for the birds by stretching it out like that. And also it makes it a gradual process. So you don't mess with the health or anything like that of the bird. And doing it in the morning time, essentially stretching the day by starting in the morning, I cut my lights off at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That allows for them to have the natural eating, roosting, all that stuff chickens do in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes the timers will get off because we have a power outage or something like that. And they'll start crowing at 10 o'clock at night. I'm like, what the crap? But, we'll get that fixed. But that's what I've found works best on my yard. And I found that from about 2 years worth of testing based off a lot of the research that I did. That's one of the reasons why I know using a orangish red light in the brooder, if you stack it tight, you'll wind up with aggressive birds that will want to pick. Using a blue light and just, if you got to use a heat lamp, use one of the ceramic emitters that screw in instead of the actual light bulb, and you can use a blue light, very low. I think the ones that I have are equivalent to like 10 watts. They're well,
Hmm.
y'all can't see that, but they're about as big around as a $half.
Those little
And
short, stubby things.
yeah, when I screw them in, they probably stick out an inch above
Yeah.
the socket, but it gives them enough light. It's not too bright, and the bluish colors, the bluish part of the spectrum really promotes the growth.
Sue, I had a conversation with a fellow here a couple of days ago, and I think you'll find it interesting because it goes back to what you were saying, that it's important to make that light change gradually.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, no, I don't do that. I just boom, I go from
Oh
however many
my.
hours he's getting to 16 hours." I said,
I know
"I
somebody
wouldn't
that
do
does
that."
that.
And he said, "Well, I do it." I said, "Let me ask you a question." I said, "What do
Wow.
you think about daylight savings time?" He said, "Well, I don't like it. I just can't adjust to that overnight." I said, "Neither can your chickens."
So
Right.
you can't, but you're making your chickens.
Right.
And he, and no pun intended, but I think the light came on.
When I found when a lot of people ask me questions, and I had one yesterday, a guy had made a feed change and was having some very adverse effects. And, he was like, I don't get it. And I said, well, think of this. What happens when you give a baby too much of this?
Mm,
Mhm.
And he said, well, they'll get stopped up and it can cause problems. I said,
there you go.
I
There you
know
go.
one's a mammal and one's not, but that gastrointestinal thing is
Yeah.
very similar.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. Jeff and I've heard you talk about this a couple of times, but I think people would be surprised to hear this. But I'd like for you to speak to how much light is really necessary to get the job done.
Mm, mm. Very little.
Yes.
um, and I wish people would get some sort of light meter, whether they get a free, downloadable, which we've
download the
talked
app.
about before, Lux. It's a free download, use that. So between 40 and 60 lux is all you want. Okay. You need 40 to stimulate. You really don't want to go over 60. Otherwise, you start causing aggressive behavior, like Carrie was talking about, a little bit ago. And so people go at this with, they think, well, if a little bit's good, a lot's better. And they put a 100-watt bulb in there.
Yeah.
And then they wonder why their chickens are freaking out and killing each other. And right. And so, no, they're not. They do not like bright, intense light. And so, like Kerry was saying, he was using like a 10 or 15-watt bulb. My standard rule of thumb is a 25-watt bulb for a 10 by 10 foot by 10 foot chicken coop, right? So if you got them in a 10 foot by 10 foot building,
That's
one 25-watt equivalent bulb,
Mhm.
right, is all it takes, right? So, yeah.
And like that light that I'm using it in a brooder that's 2 foot wide and 8 foot long, and it's in the middle.
Mhm.
So it
That was
doesn't.
the lowest wattage I could find.
And the folks, the other side of that coin is those lower wattage bulbs save you a little bit of money on your electrical bill.
Yeah.
Yeah. We do have a question in the gallery if you got time.
Okay.
Whenever it fits in, you just tell me when it fits in. All right.
Pop
So
it in.
Chris Heitzman, I think he's in Alaska, but he said somewhat related to tonight's subject. I remember hearing someone say that having more hours of dark would stimulate more weight gain in a meat bird. Actually, Chris, that's counterintuitive. So we actually find with the meat birds, them being on up to 16 hours of light is actually a good thing. It's more eating time. So 16 on, 8 off is a really good time. The commercial industry has gone to 4 on, 2 off, 4 on, 2 off, 4 on, 2 off, 4 on, 2 off, right? So they have 4 hours of light, 2 hours of rest, 4 hours of light, 2 hours of rest. And they're getting more increased weight gain with that lighting schedule.
Faster too, probably.
Yeah, but it is stressful on the chicken to do that. Now, they don't care about stress on their chicken, so that's what they're doing it for, pure profit. But no, even even my Cornish cross grower people down here, those longer days, help a lot in gaining weight. Now, if you're talking about pure fat for flavor purposes, then feeding them heavy before they go to the perch, to the roost, you're going to increase your body fat percentage, but not necessarily overall growth.
You'll get more liquid gold out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
You want the broth.
All right.
But you're going to have some chunky chicken.
I'll have to remember that next time I raise some of those things.
And-
And at night.
Yeah, Sue's like, whoa, did you say more broth?
Yeah.
Look, she's gonna hatch out some reds or next year, and she right out of the hatcher she'll be like, I'm gonna paint that one's leg, that one. She'll get her about 6 or 8 of them, and she's gonna paint their feet pink, and she's gonna just pour the feed to them, and they're gonna get 8 to 10 pounds, and she's gonna have God only knows how many mason jars of liquid gold.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
then she and I'll be making swaps. Then she'll send me some broth. I'll send her some non-GMO corn so she can have cornbread.
There we go. Yep. And I'm
Sounds
taking
like
my
a pretty good deal.
ducks to the processor, and then I'm going to get me some duck fat. That's good stuff.
Yes, it is.
Well, you could give that to those reds next year.
And no, they might get fried in it.
There you go.
And before we move on, folks, I just want to say that you need to think of lighting is one management tool that you can use. It's not a miracle
Mhm.
solution. Okay,
Mm-mm.
it's not going to overcome bad feed or bad genetics.
no, but it's part of the overall,
Yes,
it's part of overall management.
Man,
exactly.
Yeah.
But
Um,
if Sue actually does that and shows, figures out her calls that early out of the brooder, we should have a different feed for them,
Yeah.
as a
Yeah.
meat bird.
Say, I
Yes.
got one I can send you.
Yep.
Shave 2 to 3 weeks off. I had a customer that I talked to today who is livid because this year they're not going to use the same feed that they used last year. And he showed them the numbers, he showed them the math, and he's like, they still won't do it. And I said, well, I mean, he said, that's going to be 3 more weeks of work.
Oh.
I said, well,
Yeah.
they probably look at it by like you get paid by the hour regardless. He said, that's got me, I'm not happy with that.
Yeah.
So it's a thing.
definitely so.
Yep.
Let's talk about supplemental light and breeding. Kerry, what's your thoughts on that?
So I am very pro winter hatching. Now, Rip, for us, winter,
Yeah.
we might see in the teens less than a week. we might see below 30 2 to 3 weeks, and that's it. So I have a
don't even
heated
see
barn.
much down here.
I was gonna say you don't see teens at all.
Oh, yeah, but I've seen it down to 12 here.
Oh,
But
woo.
Once
yeah,
in your life.
well, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Oh, woo.
But I like doing that because my barn is heated. It is not. It ain't cooled very well. I'll say that it gets pretty hot in there, even with the fans and stuff going in the summertime. So it's really easy to brood in there in the wintertime. And I still put chicks on the ground at 3 to 4 weeks old when they're fully feathered, and unless it's below 30 outside. If it's below 30, then I'll wait till they're 5 weeks. But when they're fully feathered, like these, about like the ones in my background, I'm gonna put them out. And the first time or two I did that, didn't work out great. But the ones that it did work out great with, next year, did it again and had even less problems. And doing stuff like that is one of the ways that I've been able to increase my hybrid vigor on my birds because, a breeder's only as good as the birds he breeds. And, I can say without doubt that I could take chicks from my house, ship them to Sue, and they would live perfectly fine eating the scraps that her ducks leave behind because they have strong hybrid vigor. I've had people try to chastise me for putting them out that young, but I'm like, I'm not putting them in the front yard. They have a doghouse to get into with no wind. Like there's hay in there so they can stay warm. It's not like I'm, throwing them out in the wild blue.
Yeah.
So, but I like
Yeah.
it. It works.
So, Carrie, since you brought this up, okay, we were talking before you came on the show, and how soon are your reds fully feathered?
The males.
Usually 3-ish weeks, maybe 4,
The males?
depending on whether or not I'm slipping. Well, Sue, you gotta. I know you're great with your feed program,
Yeah.
but Jeff designed mine.
Gotcha.
So we volunteered you to send some of the perfect starter feed to Sue so she can run a side-by-side trial with what she's doing. Okay.
Yeah.
So next January,
So
you got to
she'll
send
take her big V starter and
Yep.
do
Yeah.
the hocus pocus that she does,
right.
and then she'll take perfect chick starter beside it, and she'll weigh them like once a week for the first month or
Yeah.
two, and
I can do that.
She'll give you trackable data because before you came on, she said it's like 5 or 6 weeks before her males. No, or
Sometimes-
longer. Sometimes longer.
the males do take an extra week for me.
Yeah. Or 2.
But
Yeah.
it starts happening pretty fast. But
Yeah, I never had mine performed very much like Sue.
Yeah.
The males were always behind the females on feathering.
Yeah.
Always.
Anyway, stay
Oh.
tuned for the experiment next spring. So,
That's right.
all right? Yeah.
To
Comes
be
anyway.
continued.
Yep.
Somebody's going to
and-
learn. Somebody's going to learn something new, right? So
I-
just stay tuned.
That would be
I'll
me.
say
That's
this.
okay.
Jennifer was very skeptical, like I was at the beginning. And I told her, I gave her a bag, and I said, just try it. And she plays with quail because you can see your science project results a lot faster with them because they mature in 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And now Show Pro feeds everything she has except for her free range ducks. And they
Wow.
mostly feed themselves.
Yeah. Mm.
So
Jeff, getting back to light and breeders.
Yes, sir.
How
sorry about the rabbit
soon
hole.
should you start extending the light on your breeder birds before you want to start setting eggs?
Okay. I'm glad you said it that way. I would not keep eggs for hatching until you've reached 14 hours of light coming up gradually. Okay.
Yeah.
And that should be the same time when you hit the appropriate egg size of roughly 55 grams. All right. So, egg size is just as important in this whole scenario. But as you've mentioned many times on the show and to us privately, right, it's just as important for the males to get that light stimulation.
Right.
And actually, your older males need a little
Sooner.
bit more than your cockerels do to trigger that testosterone and be fully functional.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
So
That-
if you're one of those breeders that, you put your male birds over in rooster camp during the wintertime so they leave the hens alone, and I would start stretching my day out about 2 to 3 weeks sooner at rooster camp than I would for my ladies.
all right, it depends on the age of your roosters too, because cockerels, first year mating cockerels have no issues whatsoever.
right.
Okay, they're ready to
They're
go.
like a teenager.
Yes, but your 4-year-old, 5-year-old males, okay, they need a little bit of coffee to wake them up. They need that light stimulation to prep them, right, and get them ready. So, and you talked about separation, and separation is, people don't listen to me, but it's absolutely critical for excellent mating. To have your roosters and your hens separate for about 45 to 60 days prior to mating season.
It makes a difference.
They gotta have time to build up.
Well, they got to have time to get lonely.
Yeah.
That too.
Yep.
And for me, even during, like, I've got some brood pens that have 6, 7 hens in them that actually get along, which that's a different story. But I'll set the male, and this really drives my wife nuts, or it used to. She's actually helps feed the birds now, but I'll set those 39 by 39 stag pens in the yard, and I'll put the rooster in that with shade, and I'll keep him separate from the hens for a few days. And then I'll go toss him back in there. Like a teenager all over again.
Mhm.
Because he's been able to hear them. He knows they're there, but he can't even see them.
I don't know how many people I've had come to me and say, my male is not fertile. What supplement do I need to give him? Or I've tried this supplement and that supplement and this hoodoo juice and 2 or 3 other things. Doesn't work. Said, if you tried giving them extra light,
Yeah.
does that make a difference? Mm-hmm. Makes a big difference.
Yeah. It either needs to go on a diet or it needs some more light.
Yeah.
Well,
Most of the time.
Or both.
Or both, yeah.
yeah, a molt show is a completely different topic, but yeah. So,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. That would have helped me this last breeding season with my older birds, because I got very limited chicks out of them. So
make sure you mold them good.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
you separate them though, right, Sue? You do separate the males from the females?
Sometimes
Okay.
that's another thing I need to do too.
Yeah.
Yep.
A bachelor pad would be good.
Yeah. He's going to move in with the young boys, get them settled down.
Good.
Yep. Yep.
Hey, before we go any further, I need to do a little commercial here. Stand by. We would like to take a short break to express our appreciation to the Poultry Company for their sponsorship of the Poultry Keepers 360 Live programming. Poultry has been a trusted name in sustainable farming and poultry nutrition for decades, and their commitment to providing high-quality, natural product aligns perfectly with the values we hold dear in our poultry community. Thank you, Poultry, for partnering with us to empower poultry keepers everywhere. We're truly grateful for your dedication and support. And amen to that. We could not do this without Portrell's contribution. We really appreciate
You know,
it.
you say for decades. It's actually been 8 of them this year.
Well, that's
They
decades. That's
celebrate
more than
their
one.
80th
Yeah,
year.
that's
Wow.
pretty
Pretty
cool.
awesome.
I got a question for Jeff on that.
Sir.
I always thought of Fertrell as plant products,
Mhm.
fertilizers, and that sort of thing. But has it always been plant and livestock, or did they kind of come?
No, it started out, okay, I'm going to give you the 5-minute history.
Go for it.
So it actually started out in 1946 from a man's love of roses, rose plants. So right up your alley, Rip. You know, he was all about the flowers, right? And at the time of the Industrial Revolution and the way fertilizers were going, he wasn't happy with the bloom quality. He wasn't happy with the aroma, and he wasn't happy at how long the bloom would stay fresh looking, like when he cut it. And so he started mixing and matching, you know, natural inputs in his garage till he got what he wanted. And that was the birth of Fertrell. Now, animal products came about in around 1974 when we branched into, we had a good line of fertilizer, and then we branched into animal nutrition in 74. I wasn't there then. I came along around, first time was 81, 82, 83. And then back in 95 when I come back out of the Air Force. So.
I appreciate you sharing that because I have often wondered, but
And
I
I
sure
will
am glad
say,
y'all made the decision to do it.
I'll say this:
Our roots are in fertilizer and agronomy, pun intended.
the humble part of Jeff gave the very high 50,000-foot view of that story. But if you go to their website and you look on there where they have their catalog, that's the story is printed in their catalog, and it's actually a pretty amazing story about how the company began,
It is.
where they were, what they were looking for. And crazy enough, I read it every time I get a catalog because I like the story.
Yep.
Yeah, we have a good story.
No doubt about that. Okay, let's switch to things poultry keepers should consider if they're thinking about supplemental lighting.
Mm.
What about the age of the birds? Can that have an impact?
A little. It's not so much age, it's the level of maturity of the pullet of when you start lighting. And this is hard to translate, but I'm going to do my best, is you do not want to stimulate a cockerel or a pullet until she is at least 80% of what her mature weight should be. So if you weighed your 3-year-old hen, right, and use that as your reference, I do not want to stimulate a pullet to start laying until she's at a minimum of 80%. Okay. All right. And if you stimulate them too early, and a lot of people do because they're excited to get their first egg, all right, you're going to fight immature, small eggs, underweight eggs for a long, long, long time.
Yeah.
If you will wait until that bird is above 80% of its fully matured weight, you will not have as many pullet or peewee eggs and you will get into hatching size eggs sooner. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody's in a hurry. And so that being said, for most of the folks here using standard bred, I would say you don't want that light stimulation before 6 months old on average. Some are a little earlier, some are a little later, right? But so now I'm also saying, if you read between the lines, at 6 months old, if you've done a good job as a poultry keeper, that's what it should be.
Uh-oh.
Jeff,
It should be. If everything's working like it should be. At that age. Some of the extremely heavy breeds, probably not. But
we lost a good bit of that because the audio was cutting out, but
Yeah.
that's all
Uh-oh.
right. Does the time of the year a female is hatched have an impact on whether they would need supplemental lighting or not?
I mean, your spring hatch birds, if you're hatching in March, should be old enough and mature enough to actually start lighting in October or November. To again, if she's 80% of her mature weight, okay, the weight, it's not age. I'd just soon just throw age right out the window.
Mm-hmm.
It is development stage, body weight development stage is more critical because her ovaries have not fully formed if she doesn't reach that body weight target before starting to lay.
Okay.
That makes sense. Makes perfect
Okay.
sense.
It's
Again,
more
I
about the
use the
weight.
example of teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about the age as to whether or not they're grown or mature.
Right.
It's about what else, everything else is going on.
What about molting hens? Could you use lighting to bring them out of a molt faster?
Yep, absolutely. And people don't actually understand that reducing light to below 11 hours down into that 10-hour range
Mm-hmm.
helps to actually stimulate the molt and get them feathers off faster. Right. So if you want to be a little bit more in control of your molt, you keep them locked up a little bit longer so they don't see daylight, and keep that light window under 10 hours or at 10 hours, they'll molt faster. So light is a significant part of the molt. And then once you've achieved your goals of the molt, then you want to re-stimulate them just like you did before, coming up gradually out of the molt, okay, with your lighting to stimulate them back into laying.
And give them more protein, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Now we're just going to ask about the nutrition needs.
After the molt.
After.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Let's see how I want to ask this question here.
Uh-oh. It's going to be a
Is
loaded
it-
one.
Yep.
I mean, is it better to extend production by using supplemental lighting than allowing your birds to take a natural rest as the days shorten?
So each breed's a little bit different because of how many eggs we expect them to lay, right? A good Rhode Island Red, I would assume right around 250 eggs laid in a year. So, you're looking at 10 months of lay. and she should have a couple months off. Right, that would be the natural. Now, some breeds, a lot of the game fowl breeds, they're not going to lay that many eggs. You're looking at 100 to 120 eggs is kind of your expected range. So each breed's going to be slightly different. I think it's important to know what that is, and I don't know where that data is at, but but your Barred Rocks, your Rhode Island Reds, your Buff Orpingtons, etc., had been bred not only for dual purpose reasons, but to be a prolific egg layer, right? Where you're getting 200 eggs a year. So I think that's kind of your target mark. And then, I would, so you're looking at 220, 250 days out of the year, giving them roughly 3 months off, 4 months off, where I wouldn't expect them to lay. If that, does that help answer your question at all?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it
But I think
It
that's
does.
going to be very breed specific, and you can't expect, so a lot of breeders that I end up talking to have this breed, that breed, like they've got 10 different breeds in their barn, and their egg expectations are not the same. So some of those birds are going to go too long, or some of those birds are not going to lay enough for that egg cycle. So somebody's going to get hurt one way or the other.
Yeah.
So the Krebs, how many eggs? What's their expectation to?
Oh, they're probably 200, 250.
Okay, so
Yeah,
so
They actually, that's one of the things that I've focused on with the Reds is trying to get their egg production up, because my Krebs outlay the Reds,
yeah,
and they should at least be even, if not the Reds be ahead of them. But
right. A red is assumed to be a 250 egg a year bird, right?
Yeah.
On the first lay cycle, then you gradually decline over time, probably 200, 180 to 200 on the second, et cetera, et cetera. But
Yeah.
Shoot, I would love for mine to lay 250 eggs a year.
yeah,
well, you have to start breeding for that too. So you have to watch your best egg layers.
hmm
And actually, that's easier to determine than most people think. If they'll actually do the pelvic bone inspection,
hmm
like slipping fingers between the pelvic bone, your best layers will have the biggest space gap between those pelvic bones, at the end of the season.
that's a really important thing that every breeder should learn how to do, is put their hands on their birds and learn to feel that space.
And we do have a video on that on our YouTube channel, by the way.
Yep.
Um, something that Monroe Babcock told me once. He said we were talking about the pelvic measurements and all that. And he said, yeah. And he said, there's another trick that you can use. He said, don't set an egg that is laid after about 9:30 or 10 o'clock in the morning.
Mm.
He said, if you set those early laid eggs, you'll get much better production increase in your flock.
Danny Feathers said that too.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I believe there's a lot of truth to that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But doing
Yep.
those body depth measurements that you've talked about, Rip, like,
Mhm.
a big, broad, flat back,
Yeah.
the measurement from the end of the keel bone to the pelvic to the vent, those sort of things,
Yeah.
those all add up, right? They're
Sure it
all
does.
part of the checklist.
Mhm.
And that holds, it works for layers or it works for meat birds, because
Right.
what you're looking at and selecting for is body capacity.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
And body capacity, good body capacity, has a really positive effect on layers and a really positive effect on meat birds.
Yep.
Birds that are scrawny and have poor body capacity, they're not going to be doing good at either one of them.
Mm-mm.
It's just fact of life.
Yeah.
And like I said, if you want to learn more about it, we do have a video uh, on our YouTube channel that will explain how to do that, and it's not hard.
Mm-mm.
It's not hard at
No.
all. Uh, what questions, guys, should somebody ask before they install lights if they want to start lighting their birds?
Wow, that's a really deep question, Rip. That's a really deep question. Okay, so like square foot of the coop, right? What is the total square footage of the coop so that you make sure you get the right light? Like Gary was using, what'd you say, a 15-watt bulb or a 10-watt bulb?
10. Ideally, you would take the square footage and divide by 4 and find a bulb as close to that wattage as possible.
Right. Like my measurement was a 10-foot by 10-foot coop. I'm using a 25-watt bulb. Okay. Carrie was using a 10-watt bulb. And so not overstimulating the birds, making sure you have the right light. Your light needs to be put in a location that uniformly lights the area, right? So there's no dark corners. All the birds get the same amount of light. But what question should a grower ask? Is that your question, Rip?
Or should anybody ask? Okay.
Right.
For example, is it better to use incandescent lighting, fluorescent lighting, or some of this newer lighting that's come out?
Yeah, incandescents are really hard to get.
Yeah.
High-end LEDs are probably your best bet with a lower flicker rate or a lower refresh rate. You need to read the label on the light bulb that you purchase. And the refresh rate, while the human eye doesn't detect it, a poultry's eye is much more sensitive. Chicken's eye is much more sensitive. So the refresh rate, or how often a pulse is sent to the light to regenerate it, a chicken's eye can pick up on. And if it's too slow or there's too much light intensity variation between pulses, you'll drive them nuts, right?
Yep.
You'll make them insane. It affects them very mentally.
It'd be like you going and sitting at a party with a strobe light on.
Yeah.
I don't know if I still got to study or not, but when I was in the Bronze Club, one of our members did a study on incandescent versus fluorescent lights, and some of the data he had was just amazing. I mean, that the fluorescent lights just drove the birds bonkers.
Yeah. Incandescents, if we could still get them, a true incandescent bulb, are excellent, right? They don't have a noticeable flicker rate or refresh rate, whereas, even the human eye can pick up on the fluorescent recharger.
Yeah, some of them.
Yep.
I tell people to take their cell phone and bring the camera up and look at it. And when you do that, if you see it like this, that's how the bird sees it.
Yeah.
And, people, I also tell people, when you go to the beach, do you wear sunglasses or do you go out there in the middle of the day and just look around at everything? And, most people wear sunglasses or have a hat to shade their face. It's the same deal because it drives you crazy. It's the same deal with chickens. If they have too much light, it's going to drive them crazy. So if you want the best results, whether it be for growing, breeding, whatever, you need to eliminate as much stress as possible.
What about lighting situations? And Kerry, I know you've done a lot of research into this, but the actual installation of the lights, particularly hardwired versus solar systems. Is there any difference in those?
Well, if it's done correctly, No. But the biggest difference is most people that want to put together a solar system are going to go down to Harbor Freight and they're going to buy their stuff. Now, I'm not knocking Harbor Freight. I'm a track club member. But when you go there and you get your solar panels and you get your batteries and you get your lights, the lights will probably give you a headache when you turn them on. So I think there's a guy that Jeff knows, and I've talked to him once or twice too, that makes a complete system, and it's like $500-600. High quality, perfect for poultry, designed for poultry. And also I have some that are designed that work off batteries. You can get them to work off Milwaukee, DeWalt, Makita, whatever. And they're specifically designed for poultry. But the most important part is going to be the bulb. You know, the solar panels, the cheaper solar panels don't light them up as much. So they don't stay out there. And once you start lighting birds, you need it to be consistent. Because
Oh,
birds are like old people. They like consistency. They don't like nothing changing. And if you screw with it, you're
you
going to stress
pegged
them
me pretty
off
good. You know that, don't you?
or make them mad.
Me too.
Well, I'm the same way. You know, I say that because I'm the same way. And I mean, I'm not as old as y'all, but all my life I've been told I have an old soul. And it's because I was practically raised by my granddaddy.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff gets on my nerves. That kind of stuff gets on chicken's nerves too. But Sydney, he put
Yeah.
the information in there. That guy, great systems, quality.
Alumacoop now has a light out for the smaller coops as well.
Yeah, we
And
have a single unit all the way up to, well, we're fixing to release another model that will do wireless and control lights a little over a mile away from each other.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
now, I don't know what Alumacoop's single unit cost is. Do you know? Sydney's system includes the solar panel, the timer, all the controls, and the LED light, the proper LED light, high end. If you buy the battery locally, the deep cycle battery, it's around $500. Okay.
yeah, that's going to save you a lot of money because of freight.
Right. And then you, like I said, you get your own battery, Walmart, wherever you buy your deep cycle batteries. And so, but, his are being used on, outdoor mobile chicken coops that have no way of getting electric to them.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been doing this for 10 or 12 years. So he's got this system really debugged and balanced out and, basically foolproof.
Yeah. So the one that we have, the one that does not use solar, it just uses the DeWalt, Milwaukee, or Makita batteries that you have to swap out every 2-3 days. They're about shipped in the lower 48. It's going to run you about $150 and some change.
All right. So it'd be a lower cost investment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's good for at least a 10 by 12 coop.
Right. And it's got the right spectrum LED in it. Both of them do. Right. So both systems work. But if you're running a larger barn, Sydney's is going to be more, if you've got a 20 by 40 barn and you want to run 3 lights in there, right? Sydney's system can do that.
Yep.
Whereas the Alumacoop, not so much. You're going to need 2 or 3 of them. Probably 3.
Until we release the AK400.
Yeah.
When the AK400's released, I know for a fact that one unit will at least control 50 remotes.
Wow.
Here's another question that I had asked, and I said, I don't know, but I'll bring it up Thursday night. Is there ever a situation where allowing nature to take its course may be the better choice than supplemental lighting?
Yeah.
I think that's a personal
I was going to
preference.
say, I think it's
Yeah.
a personal preference.
Yeah.
And,
It's worked fine
Rip,
for me. So,
like you told me way back when, it all depends on your goals.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're one of those people that got chickens because you wanted to save money on eggs, or because you didn't want, recently because you didn't want to get anything from eating eggs, then you probably are gonna want to supplement light because that'll keep them laying the most.
Yeah.
If you, I don't know, there's all kinds of variables.
If you
And
want
a
to
lot
be
of,
if you're going to fall hatch like you did, Rip,
Hmm.
you almost have to.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Keep them laying.
Right. So again, outline your goals, outline your purpose, and then go from there.
Yeah.
This show is not about right or wrong. It's
No.
about, if you're going to do it right. Right.
Options. Yep.
But it's your farm, your rules.
Yep.
To properly answer the question, Rip, you have to start with whatever the goals are,
Mhm.
because different things work.
I love the debate that goes on out there, in our groups like Poultry Keepers 360, Poultry Reader Nutrition. When the lighting subject comes on, I just let them do it naturally so they live longer.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
a bunch of horse pucky. So,
Especially if you have raccoons.
and
Yeah.
so the lights are not what's killing your chickens, and it's not going to make them live longer or not live longer. Okay. It is not the stress factor. Okay. It's a lot of other things, but that
They
ain't
need
it.
they need a healthy body.
I mean,
Yeah.
to me,
It sure is hard to convince them of that, though, sometimes.
I know.
Especially those reds.
every aspect of a chicken's life, if you have good genetic birds, well, not just chickens, any kind of poultry, it's on the chicken tender. It's management.
To me, poultry keeping, good poultry keeping boils down to three main things: genetics,
Mm.
nutrition,
Mhm.
and management.
That's been true. Yeah.
It's all rooted in those three things.
And chicken tender controls two of them.
Yep.
Mhm.
Now, if somebody has a chicken that goes to the feed store and picks out their bag, number one, I want to see a video of it.
Mhm.
And number two, I want one of them, because I've never seen that.
That would
But
be
and,
interesting, wouldn't it?
and I tell people, I'm like, this is your fault. Nobody likes to hear that, but
Yeah.
I've never seen a chicken clean up their bedroom.
No.
I've never seen a chicken pick out their food, how often they're fed, or how much they're fed. And I've never seen a chicken change their water.
Nope.
I've seen them poop in it.
Yep. And stand in it. Yep.
And, standing in it on a hot day, I can get that.
Yeah.
Why they poop in it? That blows my mind.
Ducks are the
But
same way.
Ducks are probably worse.
Oh yes. Yes. Yep.
If you're looking for all those intelligent factors you just outlined, you need a pig.
Yes.
Because they can, their sniffer is good enough to discern good feed over bad.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And they're also master escape artists.
It's the only other creature that I know that defecates in the same place every day.
Yep.
Okay?
And will not lay in it. Yep.
Right.
No. Like
So,
mine have a corner
Mm-hmm.
in their pen.
Yep.
Every single one of them goes there.
Yep.
that's the
And
location.
every time it rains, half a bag of lime goes there.
Yep.
You still got
But
pigs? I thought you were getting out of the pig business.
He's
look,
got coonies.
I
thought he
can
was getting
only,
out of the pig business.
they serve a purpose, and I can only eat so much bacon.
I didn't know there was a limit to bacon.
I just started to say I didn't know there was such a thing.
Well,
Either one of y'all eat more than a pound a day?
no.
I can get pretty close.
The last one I put in the freezer, I put 200 pounds worth of meat in the freezer.
Mm. Mm. Nice.
Well, folks, we've come to the tail end of our show here. We're about out of time. Do you guys have anything else to share for the good of the cause here this evening?
Well, I'm going to be
Uh,
setting up a light system this fall.
Hot dog.
Are you?
Yeah.
You want
Yeah.
some help?
At
Well,
least on Ripalicious.
I can help you. I'd be glad to.
I'm going to leave our guest with this, and it's something we talk about a lot, is observing your birds.
Mm.
Your better decisions are going to come with better observations. So make sure that you're observing your birds. Learn what's normal, because if you don't know what normal is, you're going to think everything is abnormal and hit the panic button.
Yeah.
So until we come back in 2 weeks, we hope you guys have a great 2 weeks. Enjoy your birds, enjoy yourselves, and have a good time. Thank you so much for watching tonight, folks.
Night.
Night.